Every day in Africa, fires are purposely set across the continent. The men who start them choose their site carefully, taking wind and the surrounding terrain into consideration. These are not mere arsonists. They have something more sinister in mind.
When people and animals collide, things are never simple. In this wildlife-human conflict, I'm often called in to seek out the truth, to find out what's really happening on the front line. My name is Ivan Carter, hunter, conservationist, and wildlife investigator.
I'm in an isolated area in a region of Africa known as the Zambezi River Delta. It's a lush and heavily forested area, rich in wildlife and fauna. The sad truth, however, is that the wildlife here is under immediate threat from the most fierce and capable predator on the planet, man. This area, like many in Africa, has become the front line of a nefarious business of poached animal flesh. On one side of the issue, poachers seek to conduct their trade. On the other, men and women on anti-poaching teams seek to prevent it. I've come to learn what dark methods these poachers are using for their work, and hopefully, through my investigations, help lend a hand in protecting the fragile wildlife suffering from this poaching war. Reports come in from the local anti-poaching unit that they've seen smoke above the forest. Where there's smoke, there's fire, and this is often a good indication of an active poaching gang nearby. My partner of many years and trusted right-hand man, Livy, accompanies me into the area to investigate.
Here's the first part of the blades here. Fresh, eh, Livy?
Yeah, fresh.
Somebody was here now, eh? Here's the end of the fire right here.
I've seen this technique used by poachers before. During my many years as a guide across Africa, one would sometimes come across fires set by man.
They're probably burning it to drive the game into their traps. You know, the game that's fleeing in terror from the fire may run into a line of traps, or alternatively, they might be burning it because they're waiting for the green shoots to come out. The burnt tufts here, if you watch as I peel this back, we've just got a charred tuft of grass here. What's going to end up happening is all these little tufts are going to grow. There's going to be little green shoots that stick out here. And this is going to attract all the wildlife. And then what they'll do is they'll put up these snare lines around these areas that the wildlife want to come and graze. And you can imagine if you've got an area where all the game wants to be, and you surround that with traps and wire snares, the destruction is unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
Like any crime scene, the first step of the investigation is to search for clues.
This is where they came in.
Yeah, this is the first.
I'm sure we disturbed them because coming in from this area, you could see the older fire was here, and they've obviously heard the car or whatever, and they've run off in that direction, I'm sure, because they've just got halfway through this grass field and stopped burning. If this was an unintentional fire, it may have started and they leave it, but it's followed the line of this path. I can't see any tracks here, Livy. I've got little doubt this is an intentional fire. Unfortunately, though, there's a lot of grass that was lying down on the path. You can see this grass is actually burned here. And so it's completely covered over any tracks that we might be able to follow or anything like that. There seems to be no limit to the destruction.
As darkness quickly falls, Livy and I continue to search for clues, but find nothing. This is an incredibly dangerous and reckless poaching technique. This fire appears relatively contained. But left unattended, with favorable winds, it could have spread and destroyed a much larger area, potentially displacing wildlife to areas outside the protection of the local anti-poaching teams. One such team, led by my colleague Craig Vint, is operating a few hours away in an area that has great success against poaching gangs like this. Livy and I journey to meet him, to share what we have learned.
Morning, Ivan.
How are you, man?
All right, thanks
You're
yourself.
fine.
No.
Craig informs me that this is not the first fire they found in the area over the past few weeks. It does indeed seem that the fires are being used to drive the local wildlife in a specific direction. After reviewing maps of the area with Craig's team, we load up into vehicles and head out to scour the location for sign of these poachers. The anti-poaching scouts are masters of their environment and are constantly keeping tabs on suspicious side paths and foot trails that could be used by poachers.
So what we're doing here is just driving along this 2-track, and we're on our way to a particular path that these guys know of. Well, they've stopped up here. Is this where this path is? They say there are some bicycle tracks on the path. Kalonasi? Yeah. Yamoshe? Track right there. 3. What they're telling me is that there's 3 bicycle tracks. There's several people walking. They don't know how many people yet, but definitely some fresh tracks on this path.
These remote paths are not used by the general public and are rarely used at all. Finding fresh tracks here could very well mean the poachers are nearby. Before long, Livy's superior tracking skills come into play.
Here's the human track from today.
There's a good chance these fresh tracks belong to poachers. My name is Ivan Carter. I've joined forces with Craig Vint's anti-poaching team, and we're now on the trail of a suspected poacher gang. We think we've just found their tracks.
Here's the human track from today. There's the heel. You can see this little line in the middle. That's a line of dust as he's lifted his foot up. And that line indicates that this is a very, very fresh track. As the wind and the weather starts to weather that track, this line will disappear.
The path quickly deteriorates and the tracks become more difficult to follow. But Craig's anti-poaching veterans, along with Livy's keen eye, keep us on the poacher's trail.
Something catches my eye up ahead.
I can see a fire in there. And there's meat on a rack.
Now that the camp has been spotted, everyone is tense. Where are the poachers? We sneak a little closer.
But we must be cautious. The burning fire means they're likely nearby.
2 guys are gonna stand here and watch guard while Craig and me and Livy go and just have a look and see what's here.
We quietly enter the camp.
3 bicycles, a lot of wire snares on one of them, traps on 2 others.
There's no question now. These are definitely poachers.
Bushbuck. I only see 4 sleeping places, but they said there was 5 tracks. I think we should stay and wait for them. I think they're gonna come back today.
Yeah, I think we must just...
They wouldn't have left a fire like this.
And bicycles. I think we should have a few guys hidden in the bush this side here.
Just behind that tree.
Yeah, just behind this tree over here, but they must lie down.
I agree.
Craig and I take into account the likely direction from which they will return, and we plan our ambush. These men are criminals. They know what they're doing is wrong, and Craig and his team have a fearsome reputation. The poachers will be wary. There's a lot that can go wrong.
The fire's burned down and it's just smoking now. I'm sure these guys are gonna come back today, but I'm hoping it's gonna be in daylight.
So far, the element of surprise is on our side. But soon we realize we're not alone.
I can hear voices. I can hear voices. Stay down. Just stay down. I can see him.
He's got a white rugby shirt on.
From here I can make out 5 men, but it's difficult to confirm. They've seen us. My name is Ivan Carter. I'm in the Zambezi River Delta with Craig Vinn's anti-poaching team. We've been lying in wait to ambush a poaching gang, but have just been spotted.
Bambina. Yeah, he saw some of us lying here. We should have got 5, and we just got the 1.
Despite our questions, this poacher remains quiet.
He's certainly not very cooperative either. That might change when he realizes he stands to possibly have 4 years in jail.
With stealth no longer a factor, we examine the camp more carefully.
Sharp, eh?
Experience has taught me to search every nook of a scene.
Chicho, pamiti hapo. Wonder what this thing is. What's it, Livy? Blanket. Hey, Mbada. It's a leopard. Look at this.
This is far worse than meat poaching alone.
Ipuena bambalo. Ipuena bambalo. Hey, ipuena bambalo. Ipuena bambalo mbadalo. These guys are not just meat poachers. I mean, this is a big deal here. You know, we came in here to investigate the bushmeat trade. Finding a poached leopard skin, that changes everything.
While poaching any animal is its own atrocity, there's no inherent benefit to the poaching of a leopard. The meat is usually ignored, the poachers simply taking the fur for its financial value alone, leaving the wasted carcass to rot. If we had not found this hide, it would have been carried out of the park on the back of a bicycle to be sold on the black market. Often used for tribal ceremonies across Africa, these high-value items can bring in the equivalent of a year's salary for most people here in Mozambique. Hides like this are a very serious and highly illegal possession.
You know, cats as a whole, they get hammered by poaching snare lines. A lot of them, like leopards and lions, will come to a dead animal in a trap, or an animal gets caught in a trap and starts to wail or bleat. That lion or that leopard sees the injured animal, walks around it, and walks into a trap of its own.
The king of Africa's wild lands, lions, can weigh in at over 600 pounds. Unfortunately, even these widely feared predators are no match for a simple wire snare set by man. I've traveled to Ballyvaughan Big Cat Sanctuary to meet a survivor of one of these poaching incidents. Upon seeing me, he becomes noticeably aggressive.
This lion is a huge male, and clearly he's not a fan of humans.
The reason for the aggressive nature of this lion is he was brought in here as an adult. He was one of the very few lucky ones. As the wire snare tightened around his neck, it got caught up at the very base of his neck, and in his struggles, he opened up a hole in his esophagus, enabling him to breathe. Human intervention enabled him to carry on surviving.
Surviving, but forever traumatized.
But our wildlife doesn't deserve this. A majestic animal like a male lion deserves to be walking free, not spending the last of his days in rehabilitation, unable to go back to the wild as a result of human greed and the strangulation of wire that's sweeping across Africa.
Finally, having enough of us, the distressed lion charges off. It's disheartening to witness the disturbing effects humans can have on once mighty apex predators like this huge cat. Poachers like the ones I'm chasing clearly have little regard for the wildlife they attack. But who are these men, and what drives them to commit such disdainful acts? I traveled to a nearby village to meet a man with first-hand experience with poaching. Alberto is one of the lead members of Craig's anti-poaching team, and he lives here with his family.
As is customary in this part of the world, he has many children and is extremely proud of his family.
But Alberto wasn't always proud of his life.
In a past life, many years ago, he used to be a poacher. Then finally he got caught by the anti-poaching team. And while he was under arrest, he worked really hard and he was offered a job.
Kudala, kanjan wena bona nyama, nalo poaching kubela.
Poaching. I asked him when he was poaching, how else would they have got meat if they didn't poach? He said there was no way, unless they had domestic livestock from the town. There was no other way to get meat.
Skadwena enza so kudala inakona maningi nyama za hapa.
I asked him whether there was a lot of wildlife here many years ago when he was a poacher. He said no, there wasn't very much. They had to work very hard to kill the animals that they did. He said now there's much more animals. I asked him why he thought there was much more animals. And he said because there's lots of them doing anti-poaching, and so the poachers go to other places. You know, it's a little bit of an oxymoron. The better your anti-poaching unit is, the more wildlife you're going to have. The more wildlife you're going to have, the more anti-poaching you're going to need to have, because all of the poachers are going to want to be in your block.
Nalo kuita job nalo anti-poaching?
Ya, natenga motorbike, natenga radio makuu.
Oh, ninafuna bona lo radio kawaina.
Radio kamina.
Yeah.
He wants to show me his radio, his prized possession. He tells me that now that he's on the anti-poaching team and he's getting a salary, he's got some money so he's able to buy some stuff. I asked him, what's the things that you bought? And he said he bought himself a motorcycle and he's bought himself a radio. He wants to show me the radio.
Music. How easily we take it for granted in the West. But for here in the middle of Mozambique, miles from any cities or bustling happenings, it's a luxury and a sign of success and social standing. Indeed, the wildlife abundance here generates money. Money that ends up in the pockets of its protectors.
He tells me his battery's not working.
Baso papo. Right. Good dog.
After years of hard work protecting the local wildlife and atoning for his past as a poacher, Alberto has become a man rich in both pride and wealth, made possible by the thriving wildlife rather than its destruction. The motorcycle and the radio are just things. The health and the happiness of his family, this is Alberto's handiwork.
Right, it's my day. One of the incentives that they give the game scouts as they're out there on anti-poaching is any captured meat they get to bring to their families.
Right. Uisena.
Back at the poacher's camp, we had confiscated an unbutchered antelope and the already smoked meat. Despite its unlawful acquisition, we were able to use it for good. The meat delivery quickly turns chaotic, and I witnessed firsthand how valuable a commodity meat really is.
Very difficult to control everybody. You know, you arrive here hoping to give everybody just a piece of meat, and before you know it, people are running down the road, and, you know, you can imagine the value of this meat, and this is part of the poaching problem. The value of this meat, you can see just, you know, everybody pulling and shoving and pushing.
We quickly dispense the remaining meat and are on our way.
You know, having just delivered meat like that, having passed meat hand to hand, it really brings home how important that meat drop is to the people and how important it is as a tool for anti-poaching. It's immediately eliminated the need for these people to poach just to survive. A human being will do anything to survive. Those people, if they are going to poach, are are poaching for financial gain, they're poaching out of greed. Eliminating the subsistence poacher is a giant step in the right direction on behalf of the wildlife.
Alberto's story is inspiring, but as I leave his property, the truth weighs heavily on my mind. We are no closer to catching the rest of the poacher gang. With no fresh leads, I travel to see a man with a legendary anti-poaching reputation. Perhaps there I'll find some answers. My name is Ivan Carter. I'm in the Zambezi River Delta, tracking a suspected poacher gang. I traveled to see a man with a legendary anti-poaching reputation, in the hopes that his years of experience will help me track down this elusive gang. I've come to meet Mark Haldane, owner of the Zambezi Delta Safaris.
While we have this threat of poaching all the time, the positive side is our wildlife is increasing, right from the little Sunnis all the way up to the buffalo. So if you're a poacher who wants to succeed, this is obviously where you want to poach.
But it's not being distributed amongst these villages.
No, definitely not. The local villages, they don't like these chaps. They get no employment out of it, no meat out of it.
Yeah.
They are definitely not subsistence poachers. They're hardcore commercial meat poachers and making a good living out of it, you know.
Yeah.
And most of my anti-poaching unit were poachers.
Yeah.
So they're chaps that have been turned around and are now looking after that.
And the thing is, you catch a guy in this kind of environment, unless you give that guy an alternative income, he's going right back at it. So,
he is.
Giving them an alternative, I mean, it's not an easy problem.
No, it isn't. It isn't one that just goes away overnight. Yeah.
No, it's not. We will stop these guys.
I think we will. I think we really will. Thank you,
Awesome. Thank you.
With a helicopter at his disposal, Mark agrees to watch for smoke in the area, in hopes of finding this poacher gang. After speaking with both Alberto and Mark, it's clear that given the choice, most of the local people would prefer not to poach, and under the right circumstances will passionately work to stop poaching. Heading back to base camp, I put this theory to the test.
The poacher, who we'll call Martin, has been processed by the court here. He's in a holding cell. He claims he'll provide information in exchange for a lighter sentence. But will he be true to his word?
I'm just going to ask him a little bit about the group of people that he normally hunts with.
Martin tells me that, as we already knew, his gang uses the fire method to drive game into their traps. He believes that the poaching gang will still be operating in the area. They have too many traps and too many camps to leave easily.
He says they always hunt 5 of them all together. 5 of them are how many it takes to carry the quota of meat that they have orders for in the town.
Still untrusting, Martin refrains from telling us where we can find the gang. He does, however, agree to show us where his gang hides their traps. While this is good news, the team and I will remain wary. Will the traps he's leading us to be for the animals or for us? Morning arrives, and true to his word, Martin begins leading us through the forest, presumably to find his traps. The team is on high alert. Even now, Livia's out of sight, scouting the path ahead, and I carry my rifle for protection. Before long, we discover human tracks.
You see, that's pretty fresh. 2 sets over here and a set over here. At least 3 people have been here. We're miles and miles from the closest road. This has got to be part of this group that's come to this stash. He says the stash is right here. I just asked him where his wires are. The wires are in the top of this tree. I've told him to climb up and actually show us where they are. He's going to bring them down to us. This is certainly the real deal. Maningi, eh? Maningi. He says that there's 30 snares here. Yeah, this is of great value to the guys. You know, you walk for hour after hour through this forest and you just don't know, but this guy really is telling the truth. All right.
But Martin is not done yet. He urges us to follow, and we soon come to an inconspicuous riverbank. We're deep in the underbrush. Something is hidden. My name is Ivan Carter. In an effort to stop a poaching gang in the Zambezi River Delta, I've enlisted the help of Martin, a captured member of the same gang. He's led us to one of their trap stashes and has just revealed another secret. Three large and illegal leg hold traps. commonly known in these areas as gin traps.
He says that it's just these 3. He says there were 4 here and there were 3 the other side. What he's saying he thinks has happened is yesterday we got all of the bicycles, which means that it's very tough. These traps are very heavy and it's tough without a bicycle to carry more than 1 trap. They've come and they've resupplied, which tells me a very important thing. These guys are still in the area and they're intending on continuing poaching.
These leg hold traps are far more sophisticated than their wired counterparts. I'm curious to see how exactly his gang was setting these, and I ask him to show us. Just achieving the force necessary to push down the thick steel spring makes it impossible for one man to do this alone. This is a trap that takes a team of committed people to deploy.
Unbelievable how strong the spring is on this thing.
Once deployed, however, the leg hold trap is a ruthless killing machine.
This is the edge of a forest clearing. We've then got some palms and then we've got a big open area here. They'll like to put a trap on every single one of these pathways on the way in. So there's a path here, an animal path that leads to this water. This is the only water for a while, which is probably why we had to walk for quite a way. Just another loathsome thing about these traps. I mean, the animals have got to drink.
Martin continues the elaborate process of hiding the trap from not just eyesight, but all senses that the wary animals might employ.
Now he's going to go and get some leaves from just around the local area. It's got to be leaves from right here because otherwise the animals will smell that there's something different. And then he's going to close this thing up here.
Once set, the 40-pound metal machine is completely hidden, undetectable by sight or scent, and ready for an unsuspecting animal to come down the path. Even a poacher has trouble finding these traps once set. Martin shows me a technique that his gang uses to make it easier.
On the stick, he's putting 4 marks. His poaching group always put 4 marks on a stick like this. He says he's going to use this stick to indicate where his traps are, but also it indicates whose trap they are. So what he'll do is he'll put this a little way away from the gin trap and use this to point the direction of exactly where the gin trap is. They won't put it at the gin trap because an animal might smell it or see that something's wrong, and then the animal won't go near the gin trap. But if they put this a little way away, and then he said he'll also put several of these back. So even on the side of the road, you might see something like this, which to the casual observer is nothing, but this will be pointing in the direction of the gin trap. And he says the length of this depends on how far into the bush the gin trap is. So if he puts it like this, the gin trap is very close. If he puts it like this, the gin trap is very far away. It's certainly something that's going to help it make it a little easier to catch these guys. And these 4 cuts here, if we do come across any other trappings of poachers, it's going to help us know if it's our group or not. What he's done is he's also put a big stick either side of the trap, and that serves 2 purposes. One, for a human being, a human will be able to see the stick and they'll be able to know that there's something here and they shouldn't walk. But secondly, an animal that's walking along is probably likely to try and step over that stick. So the animal walks along here, 1 footstep here, steps over the stick into the trap. Just a vicious thing. It actually makes your skin crawl when you see how efficient this is and how hidden it is.
It's deadly ingenuity like this that has made humans the most formidable predator on Earth.
So you've got an animal that walks along like this and then steps right.
One of the spikes is split it exactly as it would do to a leg bone. There's no way that would kill the animal, though. There's no way it can drag this big old heavy trap very far. So that animal's going to stand there, wait for the human to come, and these poachers have always got a number of spears with them. Heavy spears are often used to finish the fatal work.
He told me a little earlier that they use these spears to dispatch an animal that's in a trap. So they'll stab it if the animal's in a trap. But if the animal's a dangerous animal like a buffalo, they'll actually throw it. Right, lascia la palo stick. Wow, you look at that. He does it almost effortlessly. Let's measure how far this thing is buried into the tree. I mean, this is a big, solid, living tree. It's gone in a good couple of 3 inches. You got 5 or 6 poachers throwing spears like this at you. You're not going to be long for this world.
My mission began here in the Zambezi River Delta, in a blaze of fire and smoke as Livy and I discovered a bushfire, maliciously started by poachers to direct the wildlife towards their sinister camp. Through the expertise of Craig Vint and his team of anti-poachers, we tracked down the location of this poaching gang's camp. While 4 of them escaped, we were able to capture one of them, Martin. After discovering a leopard skin at the camp, I journeyed to the Ballyvaughan Big Cat Sanctuary, where I met a magnificent lion, forever traumatized by his experience with a poacher's snare that nearly took his life. Eager to get to the heart of why a person might resort to animal poaching, I met with former poacher Alberto and found a man who has turned his life around to protect the wildlife that he once endangered. I witnessed firsthand how valuable all the meat is to the local community. With Martin the poacher's cooperation, we found multiple stashes of poaching traps and learned of the many sinister methods this gang used to employ.
His poaching group always put 4 marks on a stick like this. It indicates whose trap they are.
These men work with deadly efficiency and must be stopped. Upon returning to camp, Mark informs us that on his recent flight over the territory he saw smoke. Could this be our gang? He points out the coordinates of the location and we rush to find out. My name is Ivan Carter. I'm in the Zambezi River Delta on the trail of a gang of poachers. After discovering their stash of traps, we think we've seen the smoke of their campsite and we're one step closer to catching them.
Okay, so
The worst thing that could happen now is that the poachers spot us before we spot them. The coordinates are only approximate. If we're not careful, we won't cover all the ground necessary and could easily miss the poachers' campsite. With Craig's input, it's decided that the best course of action is to spread the anti-poaching team out in a wide line. This increases our chance of being spotted, but there's little we can do about it. Everybody must keep a wary lookout. We communicate in bird calls. If the camp is spotted, the plan is to use the calls to get the anti-poaching team in position and approach from 3 sides at once. We're heading into the wind, and as we travel further into the forest, smoke is definitely in the air.
The anti-poaching team moves into position. I can't get a good view of the camp, but with a better vantage point, Florindo signals that it's unoccupied. Did the poachers hear Mark's helicopter earlier and flee the area as a precaution? Or did they hear us coming as we approached? Empty-handed once again, we enter the camp to investigate.
I think they put this here early evening last night. Here's where they butchered it.
One thing is certain, they're no longer here.
Check at this. These are the 4 marks that guy said they use as an indicator for their traps. Same, eh? We've ascertained beyond a doubt that this is these same guys in the area. You know, they must have resupplied with their traps day before yesterday. Yesterday had a day of trapping, carried it here, and they've left us a really crucial clue. So Craig, you think that probably the whole bush full of our tracks? I mean, we can't go and eliminate the tracks. They're going to see one of our tracks and leave it.
No, you can't hide all of them now.
We don't have enough time to go and surveil each of the villages that's within walking distance of this. I mean, that would take a couple of weeks, and every day that we waste, animals are dying.
There's one last option. Martin has cooperated so far, but he hasn't told us everything. He will know what village the gang uses, but will he tell us? I think back to our meeting with Alberto. At one point in his life, he must have faced a similar decision. What will Martin's be?
My name is Ivan Carter. Working with Craig Vint and his anti-poaching team in the Zambezi River Delta, we're working to capture a gang of poachers. Martin, a former poacher, in hopes of a reduced sentence, has agreed to help us. Martin has led us to a village where he claims that his gang sometimes sleeps. We approach very carefully and scout out the village from a distance. I spot 2 men in the open, and Martin verifies that they're part of his gang. I can't confirm the missing 2 members are here, but this is a start.
here, 2 of them. It's like a big open area next to it. We're gonna have to wait till it gets a bit darker and then go in and do this in the night.
As the sun sets, we prepare our equipment for the night to come.
With this night stuff, we've just got to make sure that I put tape over every single little light. Something as simple as that little power light is absolutely a game killer. So I'm just going to tape that up.
Now let's get one of the bigger movie cameras, and we're gonna have to do exactly the same with those. We're gonna have to cover up all of the little record lights and anything that might shine, and then we're gonna attach the lights to the top in such a way that we can use them as spotlights for an element of surprise when we jump these guys.
I brought a secret weapon.
The black is actually charcoal and will cover any reflections on our faces. The tiniest reflection or pale shape in the darkness could alert the village to our presence.
It's a perfect night for it. Actually, there's absolutely no moon. There's just going to be stars. It's going to be pitch black within an hour of sunset. The sun's just gone down, so we've got about an hour to start moving into position.
As darkness falls, we ready ourselves. If we fail now, the poachers will be onto us. With their cover blown, they will pick up and move their operation somewhere else, melting into the vast surrounding territory. It's vital that we capture every last one of them. With our lights off, the world falls into pitch darkness. We take a few moments to let our eyes adjust, and then review the plan to make sure everybody is prepared. The plan is simple. Everyone will use the cover of darkness to inch a bit closer.
Once Craig gets in position, he's going to do a bird call. It's a nocturnal bird. He's going to get into position. As soon as I hear that call, we're going to start moving.
We'll have to make our approach with meticulous, silent precision.
You can just see my pasilapa. All I can really see is the fire. Bush is really quite thick on this side of the village.
These poachers live in the wild and will notice the faintest of discrepancies in the natural environment. We split up and make our approach. Ever so carefully, Livy and I move in on the left. Craig and his men go round from the right. We hear the call.
Okay, Craig is ready. Okay, let's go down.
Carter's War would like to thank the following people and organizations. Without their help, this program would not be possible.
My name is Ivan Carter. I'm in the Zambezi River Delta with Craig Vint and his anti-poaching team. After days of work, we've tracked down a gang of poachers, and we're about to raid their camp. We've got them. 4 poachers, all captured. And everyone, the poachers and the anti-poaching team, is unharmed.
Right, we've got them.
With the men in handcuffs, they will all face trial. They will likely be convicted and will serve jail time. While it's natural to feel sorry for them, one thinks back to the leopard skin. The lion, with its esophagus cut open, and the many illegal traps set for their macabre purpose. The weight of it all starts to sink in.
You don't often get a second chance, but we got a second chance and we sure made the most of it. Craig's job in the next couple of days is to make sure these guys show him where they've set these traps. We know that they've got some traps, and we've just got to make sure that they show where they've set them. Otherwise, those traps are just going to sit out there and wantonly destroy some wildlife for no reason. As long as people like Craig and his team are prepared to come out here, spend night after night out here, spend weeks with very little sleep, this war's a winnable war.
The men will face consequences for their actions, but they'll have a recourse and a choice, as Martin had. There's hope yet.
As night gives way to a new day, Mark learns of our success last night with his anti-poaching team and invites me over to share his congratulations. He offers to take me for a flight in his chopper and to show me the stunning vistas offered by the Marameo territory. After our success last night, I can think of no sweeter reward than the beauty before me.
I had no idea that it would be like this. This is unbelievable. I mean, here we are just a few feet above a herd of literally hundreds of buffalo that represent, years and years of hard work. It's not that long ago you battled to even find one herd. Now that this is so successful, I'm just hoping that people will see this model, realize the importance of anti-poaching, and how fast the wildlife will bounce back if you just give it the chance. Just a positive statement for the future of wildlife in an area like this.
If you would like to learn more about this episode, or if you'd like to support these people on the front line, please go to carterswar.com.